This video is about events, holidays, birthdays, special events that you want to go to or attend with your family. However, you have a child on the spectrum and your child on the spectrum does not behave well or does not like going to these types of events, and you know that the moment you walk in, you're going to have to leave. That's what this video is about. If you have a toddler or even just a young, 6, 7, 8 year old on the spectrum, especially if they're more lower functioning, they're not going to want to go to these events. It's too much for them to handle. It is a sensory overload. The lights are too much. There's too much talking. There's too many people in the room. They feel the energy, and they begin to cover their ears. They can't deal with it. They can't handle it. They start hitting and hitting and hitting, and you spaz out. And the people around you are like, "What the hell is wrong with your kid?" Because they don't understand. What you need to do as a parent is you need to understand what is happening. When I understood what was happening with my kids, with my children, then I understood them better. And I would not take my children into certain situations that I knew that they wouldn't be able to handle or be able to take. Or if I did dare step into a place or an environment where they may or may not be able to handle it, I knew I had an exit strategy and knew that if it was time to call it quits, then we call it quits and, abort, 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 and we would get the heck out of there. No questions asked, no goodbyes, no just we're gone. Sorry, because that was a priority to avoid a meltdown. Because as you know, when the switch is flicked on a meltdown, sometimes it's 45 minutes, an hour, 2 hours later that they finally calm down. Yes, I remember those. I remember very well what that's like. The reason my daughter tolerates things now is because I used ABA therapy to get her used to going into places. There were times where I took a 6 month period. It took me 6 months to get her into a place that I wanted to go to. And the first time we started and we drove through to the parking lot, and we sat there for a while, turned the car off, stayed there for 5 minutes, and then we started the car and then we left. The next time we got off the car, when we went and touched the door knob to the entry of the place, and then we walked it back to the car and got in. And little by little, I used ABA therapy to get her used to it. Again, it took me 6 months, and she was maybe about 5 at the time. She was pretty young, about 5 or 6. Lots of meltdowns, lots of tantrums, lots of what's happening here. But you have to understand what is happening. It's too much for their system to handle. This is why they don't make eye contact, because they can feel and they can sense everything magnified. So what we hear, they hear magnified. What they see, they're seeing so much more activity. And you have to be sensitive to this. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of meltdowns. So when I understood this with my daughter, then it made me see things in a different way. And when it came to events, holidays, fireworks, everybody singing happy birthday really loud, laughing, lots of cheering like a football game or something like that. Nope, we just didn't do it. We didn't do it. We did not take our children into these environments, and that meant not getting together with family, not seeing them. Yes, that's exactly what it meant, because my priority was my daughter, my son, not getting together. Was it isolating? Yes, it was very isolating. We lost many, many friends. We lost all of our friends. We had to kind of start all over again with our friends. And there was a huge period of time, years, where we had no friends. It was me and my husband, and that was it. There was no one else. So didn't have siblings to lean on. I didn't have in-laws to lean on. My mother, who was deceased, I didn't have that. So if you have family, then you're lucky, but it's very few in between of who you'll have. That is very normal. You're isolated for a while, beloved. You're not alone forever. I know it might seem like forever, but now I look back and I think, wow, that was just a blip. It was just a phase. It was a phase that I went through. And I still care for my daughter today. She will need care for her entire lifetime. So I still care for her. But I think about the meltdowns and the tantrums and the things that we couldn't go to or couldn't attend to. And it was just a phase. So you will get past it. It doesn't last forever, it is just temporary. I hope this helps you. I hope it encourages you. You have found the right tribe for sure. If tag somebody, like, subscribe, and I hope to see you in the Facebook group as well. Autism Alternative Journey.